or 16-piece bucket?
Woo! That's a lot of chicken. In Japan, we have 3 drink sizes. So we have a small.
In the US, our drinks come in medium.
And this is what a large drink looks like.
Here in India, we don't serve cups, we just serve cans.
If you want, you can also get half a gallon bag of your favorite drink choice. Look at this thing.
It's convenient. So the fries at the KFC Japan come in 3 sizes. So this is small.
It's a regular fries.
And back again, the large.
Then we got a box. Let us now measure the large to see how much we get.
Now, of course, the U.S. has a chicken sandwich. You can also get it spicy or classic. This is classic. I got this little guy, the chicken little. Look at this guy. Huh? That's a little guy. Comes with pickles, mayo.
So instead of a chicken sandwich, what we call ours is the chicken fillet burger. I think it's pretty much the same thing. It's like breaded and fried chicken between 2 buns with some lettuce and some mayonnaise. We also have something called the zinger burger, which is pretty much the same thing, but the spice level is amped up a little bit. You can also turn these burgers into a tower burger. What that does is adds cheese and a hash brown to the burger, which in my opinion is a very worthwhile addition.
Now we have special sandwiches. This one right here is called Japanese style chicken cut sandwich. So let's take a look inside. It's got mayo, and it's got cabbage, and chicken cuts right there. Itadakimasu. Oh, this sauce is like soy sauce based sauce, and it's a little bit sweet. And this mayo is also great with this sauce. This looks really small, but it has huge amount of chicken. So if you eat this, you're gonna be full. And next one, we've got chicken fillets. Wow, this is also huge. So this one right here is called black hot sandwich. Ooh, look at this. It's like pepper mayo. I just tasted this pepper mayo, but it has a little like spiciness. Ooh. Oh man, it's too strong. I wouldn't get it. Be careful. All right, let's move on to chicken sandwiches. Here in India, we don't have an American chicken sandwich, but we have a zinger and a smaller sandwich called a crisper. Cute. The crisper looks like it wants to grow up and be a zinger someday. They also come in 2 variants, a spicy crisper and a tandoori zinger. Let's taste all of them. Oh, pretty yum. They've used a different kind of mayonnaise here. It has a bit of sweetness to it and a spicy kick at the end. And now for the...
Okay.
The classical attack of the Zulus is in the shape of a fighting bull buffalo like this. The head, the horns, and the loins. First, the head moves forward. The enemy naturally moves in to meet it. But it's only a feint. The warriors in the head then disperse to form the encircling horns, and the enemy is drawn in on the loins. And the horns close in on the back and sides. Finish.
It looks jolly simple, doesn't it?
Oh, it's jolly deadly, old boy.
Well done, Ardendorf. We'll make an Englishman of you again.
No thanks, I'm a Boer. The Zulus are the enemies of my blood. What are you doing here?
Okay. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming to Vermont today. We had a great time at Harwood Union High School in Moortown. Let me begin by asking you a pretty simple question. For 5 years in a row now, the little country of Finland has been acknowledged by international studies as being the happiest country on earth. Why do you think that's so?
I think you don't have obviously any easy, obvious explanations. It can't be the climate. It can't be the happy neighborhood. So I think the reason we've been trying to study that, I think one of the indicators that we have seen is that there's a high degree of trust in institutions and in other people. So people feel that they belong to a society, and they feel that the society is also working for them. And I think there is also an element of being relatively stress-free, because we have a system that kind of covers some of the basic elements and needs of your life. You can actually count on support in many important fields like education, healthcare, social services. So I think it doesn't make our life problem-free, but I think it kind of reduces the stress that most of the people have. And this is the reason. So I don't think happiness means that we are sort of laughing all the time, but it means that we are basically rather content in life.
One of the things I think we don't discuss enough here in the United States is the incredible degree of stress that people live under. And anxiety is just not good for your health. People worry about how they're going to pay their health care bills. They worry about how they're going to send their kids to college. They worry about how they're going to get by on wages, which in many cases are not adequate. So let's review what goes on in Finland. Let me just start off. In America, we don't have paid family and medical leave, something I'm fighting for. We don't have it. Means that there are women in this country who can give birth, and 1 week or 2 weeks later, they're forced to go back to work. How does paid family and medical leave work in Finland?
Bilaterally, if I look at the
Hello, this is a bilateral salpingectomy for hydrosalpinx. We are using a striker mini alligator. This is a ball of a striker mini alligator, and this is the lock. You can open the jaw and you can lock at a desired level so that it will hold nicely. It is just a 1.2 millimeter needle, and in this there is a grasper which you can use to hold the tube, fundus of the gallbladder, appendix, so that you can perform two-port surgery. So this is a very good instrument, and here we will only perform the two-port bilateral salpingectomy. The bowel has to be moved up. Here the cecum. This is a small intestine. All has to be moved up so that clear the pelvis to perform the procedure. And these bowel loops must be pushed away above the sacral promontory so that it should not come back again. Here we can see this is the pelvis, and here is the ureter. This is appendix, which is coming down. You can lift.
the sea is filled with incredibly unique life forms, coming in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors, and appendages. Many of such creatures are incredible predators who lurk in the far reaches of the cold, dark ocean. From the terror-inducing great white shark to the insidiously clever killer whale, to the snapping jaws of the powerful leopard seal, to the outrageously fast marlin. Creatures like this strike fear into the hearts of many. But the biggest and scariest predators aren't necessarily the deadliest. For great white sharks, only about 48% of surface attacks on seals result in successful kills. Leopard seals only catch their fish prey in 64% of their attempts. To find one of the most effective predators, you need to set your sights on something much smaller and in much shallower waters. Residing in coastal regions around the world is the oddly shaped sea creature known as the seahorse. Seahorses belong to the cygnathid family of fish, which includes pipefish and sea dragons. There are about 50 seahorse species ranging in size from 2 to 35 centimeters, each resembling a Frankenstein-like creation with bits and pieces taken from various animals combined to make one extraordinary fish. Seahorses are one of the most effective hunters in the sea, with a
Jellyfish can be found all over the world, from deep oceans to shallow coastal areas. They've been around for hundreds of millions of years. Boneless, brainless, and bloodless, jellyfish are some of the most diverse and fascinating creatures in the sea. Jellyfish aren't actually fish. With thousands of different species in 2 different biological phyla, jellyfish is more of a broad term than anything else. Unlike fish, which have backbones, jellyfish are invertebrates. Jellyfish got their common name from the jelly-like material they're made out of, called mesoglia. In recent years, scientists have started using the umbrella term sea jellies to clear up the confusion. There is an immortal jellyfish. Jellyfish can reproduce sexually by releasing
Seahorses are unique, slow-moving fish that are found in shallow, temperate, and tropical waters around the world. Their bodies contain bony plates instead of scales. There are around 50 species of seahorses. They utilize specialized cells called chromatophores to blend in with their surroundings. Seahorses like to inhabit areas with seagrasses, mangroves, or coral that they can cling onto with their tail. This keeps them from being swept away with the current, since they are poor swimmers. The fins on the side of their head can beat 50 times a second, helping them to steer while they swim by moving the long fin on their back. The size of a seahorse depends on the species. The tiniest seahorse only grows to the size of a grain of rice, while the largest
As the pandemic makes a horrifying comeback across the Sun Belt, we need to circle back to the kind of stocks that worked during the first big outbreak in March and April. For example, with states gradually going back into lockdown, packaged food plays, they're back. Now, just today, we got results from General Mills, an iconic household name, and a member of the Kramer COVID-19 Index. The company posted a great quarter with a resounding top and bottom line beat, 21% sales growth. But because management was a bit circumspect about the future, who wouldn't be, and didn't bring as much to the sales down to the bottom line, the stock
Are you
updated
cleaning?
just a hair. Well,
I don't
was that
know.
a
What should
mistake?
you be cleaning?
Let's dig deeper with Jeff Harmon. He's the chairman and CEO of
So
General Mills.
I'm handling my
More about the
business. I'm
quarter
going
and
to
his company's
continue handling my
prospects.
business.
Jeff,
If you don't
welcome,
want me in
buddy.
this area where it's nice and quiet, I'm happy to go to the main lobby
All right, so
area.
Jeff, I'm telling you,
These are public areas.
I don't know, 30 years? I'm going to
These are public areas. I don't think that you know your job.
Gains or hold share in 9 out of 10.
Okay, a general manager is the manager of the property.
Organic sales.
So what do you need? Because you obviously came in here with a problem.
And be able to produce everything without any supply
You
chain
came in here with a
is a
problem.
hero, and the stock is inexpensive.
Okay,
I'm
so
giving
go
it
up
to
the
you to say,
stairs.
tell me that I'm wrong.
Then I'm going to call Metro. And
I'm not going to tell you that you're
Call
wrong.
Metro,
We
baby.
had a
Do
good
what you
year
got to
going
do.
into the fourth quarter, going into the pandemic, especially on our North America retail business and Blue Buffalo, which our pet food business, which were growing at double digits. And obviously, during the last 3 months, our business really accelerated through strong execution. As you say, 9 out of 10 categories of share growth in the U.S., all of our categories growing share in Europe, 6 out of 7 categories growing share in Brazil. So it was a really good quarter, built on the back of 3 good quarters before that.
Well, Jeff, also, I know that you had balance sheet concerns at one point that you had to address. Your operating cash flow, which I don't think anyone focused on the call, was magnificent, and your leverage is so much better than it was a couple years ago.
That's the thing I think I'm most proud of that I'm not sure people fully appreciate. We tried to get to a net debt to EBITDA ratio of 3.5 times by the end of this year. We got all the way down to 3.2 times net debt to EBITDA, which brings us that much closer to get back to our normal capital allocation. And our first priority there, when we get to 3 times net debt to EBITDA, will be growing our dividend again. And so it really is a big deal. Yes, our earnings were really proud of that.
Right. I mean, because I always regard you as the ultimate dividend growth stock, and I think it's going to come back, and you're now in a position to do that. Let's talk about something else that I thought was magnificent. Blue, this was an acquisition that initially people say, well, maybe it was an overpay. But you have 13.3% household penetration. You've got all channels going. We buy Canada, we buy it through Chewy. But this has turned into an acquisition that is really taking share from a lot of other companies.
It's been a great acquisition for General Mills, and it's been a great acquisition for our shareholders and all the pet parents. And Blue Buffalo is everything we thought it would be. We've grown at double digits 2 years in a row, including 18% organic sales growth this year. We are growing share in the business, and we've got some great innovation lined up for next year. And so people treat their pets like family, and we've been feeding food to families for 150 years, and now we're just feeding them to furry members of the family. And so Blue Buffalo is everything we thought it would be 2 years ago when we bought the business.
When people are at home, they do 2 things. They have breakfast at home. They have cereal. It means they have Cheerios or something like it. And it means suddenly that they cook. Betty Crocker in Pillsbury. So both breakfast and dinner are growing nicely.
It's a company that is the fourth largest aerospace defense contractor in the United States. It's a company with about a $26 billion market cap and revenues approaching about $25 billion and more than 65,000 employees. And when our guest became the CEO in January of 2010, the stock was at a certain level. It's now up 116% since he became the CEO. So, good. Wes grew up in various places in the United States, but went to high school in West Virginia. He went to undergraduate at MIT, got a degree in electrical engineering, and got a master's degree in electrical engineering, and then joined the Aerospace Corporation, which was an entity that was affiliated with the U.S. government, and then later went to TRW. He rose up quickly and ultimately ran their Aeronautical Systems Division, which was based in England. And then TRW was acquired culture of the organization, but he's also, of course, increased the stock price, as I mentioned. He's very involved in a lot of philanthropic organizations, including Conservation International, where he's a member of the board, and he's done a lot to increase the sustainability culture of Northrop. He's very active in the outdoors-related areas and also was associated with and chairman of the board of the Aeronautical Industry Association board last year. So, Wes, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.
So you've now been running this company for about 5 years. So how can somebody who's running a company for 5 years, as important as this company, look so young? And do you sell vitamins as well as other things?
Well, I'll tell you, I feel fortunate to be able to work with so many talented and smart folks in our company and in the national security community. And I think that makes us all feel young and keep energized in what we're doing. It's just a remarkable community to have the opportunity to work in.
Okay. So right now we're facing an era where we're ending some wars and the defense budget is likely to come down. So how will Northrop Grumman and other companies like you deal with the fact that defense budget is coming down? Do you see your sales and your earnings coming down, or how do you expect to handle this?
Yeah, we are in another one of our cycles. Our industry is clearly cyclical.